Today, I have a story for you guys about this super spoiled kid who is so entitled that he ends up trying to buy planet Earth itself. And whenever he doesn't get his ways, he has a big meltdown. Trust me, you guys are gonna love this story. Like the video to keep your air supply going. Otherwise, it's done. Sorry, not sorry. Also, subscribe so we can hit 420 trillion subscribers. We're pretty close, so let's get there. And with that all being said and done, sit back, relax, and enjoy the story. So for this story, we're gonna call our subscriber Tyler. And Tyler had a pretty close friend ever since elementary school, and we're going to call him Damien. So like I said, Tyler and Damien were pretty close friends ever since elementary school. They were in pretty much all the same classes together, and they also shared a love for video games and comic books. So, pretty close friends. The only thing that they really had different was their family's situation. Tyler was like a middle-class student. He had a decent house, nothing amazing, but Damien was extremely filthy rich, and he lived in what was the biggest house in the whole entire community. Now, of course, Tyler didn't care about that whenever they first became friends. Like, he isn't friends just because Damien is rich or anything like that. They've been friends since childhood, so they have a pretty close bond. But recently, Tyler says that Damien has really let the money get to his head, and he has gotten extremely entitled over the years. Now, this had been building up over years. The first incident where Damien started showing signs of his entitlement, Tyler says, happened in middle school. So one day, Damien's father bought him the latest gaming console. It was the Xbox One at the time. And this wasn't even for his birthday or for Christmas or any special occasion. Damien had just been wanting the Xbox One for a while, and so his parents bought it for him. And of course, since Damien just got the new console, he invited Tyler over to come try it out. And this is whenever the Xbox One was pretty fresh, it was pretty new, so it was a pretty big deal that he had one. So Damien had a bunch of games for the new console, and Tyler had really been wanting to try one particular one. It was the new Call of Duty. However, Damien never let Tyler have a chance to pick a game, and he just kept choosing the games, and whenever Tyler was about to say something like, yo, can we try this? Damien would just cut him off and be like, oh, let's play this game instead. He just didn't care, and he was being kind of rude. Then also, whenever he lost at a game, he would throw this like huge tantrum. He would like yell down to his dad that he needs a new, different game, and that he has to buy it for him immediately because the one he was playing was making him angry or he didn't like it anymore. And for some reason, his parents would comply, and a few minutes later, like his butler would come up with a few new games. I don't even know like how they got it that fast. I guess the butler would like drive to GameStop or something and buy it for him. But yeah, he just kept getting new games hand delivered to him the second he asked, the second that he was too bad at one of the games or he lost. Once he got angry, he would just get a new game in his hands instantly, any game that he asked for. So a few days later, Tyler came back over to play some more Xbox, and he discovered that Damien had bought literally every single game available for the new Xbox One. Like seriously, it was so many games, and Tyler asked him, he's like, dude, how do you have all of these games? This is like pretty much every game that has been released yet. And Damien was like, oh, I get what I want. If I want a game, I'm gonna get it. And then he was like, I just didn't like any of the other ones, so I just kept trying new ones. Then eventually I was like, screw it, I think I want every game. So he just kept telling his butler that he didn't like certain games, and then he would bring him new ones until eventually he had them all. And that was kind of the point where Tyler started to realize the extent of Damien's wealth and how it was starting to affect him. It was clear that he was extremely spoiled, and it was affecting him negatively. And Tyler was able to see that even at a young age. As the years went by, Damien's demands grew increasingly outrageous. There was a time where he forced his parents to buy him a pet lion. He said that it was all he wanted and he didn't care about anything else, and all he wanted was this pet lion. And his parents actually followed through, set up a whole exhibit in his backyard, and got a pet lion. However, Tyler says that eventually the local authorities found out that they had a pet lion in their backyard, and turns out that they weren't exactly following all of the rules correctly. So they ordered Damien's family to return the lion back to a wildlife sanctuary, and that's when Tyler says that Damien threw an absolute fit, and he was screaming and sobbing and just going absolutely crazy, having a tantrum, and it wasn't stopping. So Tyler, being at the house at the time, was like, dude, it's okay, having a lion in the first place is pretty ridiculous, at least they tried. And that's whenever Damien was like, you don't understand, and he just kept going on and on until eventually, to get him to stop, his parents came over and they were like, don't worry, we're gonna find out a way to make this right. Within the next month, Damien had an entire private zoo in his backyard. Now, there were a bunch of other smaller situations leading up to this point. Like I said, it all started with the Xbox One, but Tyler just kept growing more and more not so fond of Damien. He noticed how entitled he was and how spoiled he was, and he kind of just didn't want to be friends with somebody like that. But regardless, their friendship was from so early on on, so it was hard to just completely cut something off like that, especially just because he was spoiled. But it was getting harder and harder for Tyler to stay friends with Damien. There was this other situation where in high school, Damien really wanted to be the all-star basketball player. So Damien just said that he wanted to be the all-star player. He didn't really train or anything like that. And during tryouts, he did really awful. But still, for some reason, whenever the listings came out of who was on the high school basketball team, Damien was at the top of the list as the MVP. Turns out Damien's parents actually donated a ton of money to the school to ensure that Damien got a spot on the team at the highest point. Reality is, he probably wouldn't have even made it on the team in the first place. And people started to soon discover this because Damien was not good at basketball. So as they were playing and stuff, his teammates realized he wasn't that good, but they wouldn't really say anything to him. But the second any of his teammates were not playing that well, or messed up or missed one of their shots, he would get on them and be like, this is why we aren't winning our games. You can't even hit a shot. And he was just all rude and stuff to them. And it's just ironic because he wasn't even supposed to be on the team in the first place. He was basically paid to be there, but he was the one handing out complaints and stuff. Meanwhile, he was the worst player and nobody was really complaining about him until eventually that started happening because people had enough of it. And after just a few weeks, the whole entire team had basically turned against him completely, and he was getting made fun of and picked on so much to the point where he eventually just left the team and said, enough of being the all-star basketball player. So with basketball out of the way, Damien decided to pick up a different hobby. He started playing video games, specifically the game Minecraft. Damien wanted to build a huge empire in the game and wanted all these castles and stuff, but whenever he tried building it, it looked like garbage. So Tyler said instead of improving his building skills or working on it longer, he rather had his parents pay for a famous Minecraft builder to come over to his house and build stuff for him. And he would come over a couple times a week and make a lot of builds for him, and eventually he had this whole entire virtual empire in the game Minecraft. And whenever Tyler would come over, Damien would be like, I made all of this, I'm the one who built it. But Tyler knew that someone would come over and build it because during some phone calls he would hear the builder saying stuff oh, you want me to build this, or what do you want me to do here? So he already knew that this was all a lie. And Tyler at this point, he already stopped hanging out with Damien as much, so this was one of the final chances he was gonna give Damien. All right, I'll hang out with him today. If he's still crazy, I might just have to cut him off. So Damien was sitting there explaining to Tyler about how he made all this stuff in Minecraft and how he was the best builder ever. And he was just blatantly lying. The truth was that a builder was being paid a ton of money to come over to his house and build stuff in his Minecraft world, which is just so ridiculous thinking about that. You know how difficult it would be to even find somebody who's a Minecraft builder who's willing to come over to a kid's house to build on his world? But yeah, somehow they found somebody and gave him a price big enough to actually do it on the weekly, even sometimes multiple times a week. That's quite the interesting job for that guy. Anyways, so as they were playing, Damien was like, you know what, dude? Honestly, this world is really great. I spent a lot of time on it. My builds are really amazing, but I'm just kind of bored of it, And Tyler was like, what, dude? How are you bored of this? You have everything you could possibly want on this world. I would play on this world for the rest of my life if I could, Tyler said. And Damien was like, yeah, it's just, I want to be able to control more. This little world in a video game isn't enough. And that's whenever Damien was like, I have an idea. And he ran down his 5 flights of stairs to get to the dining room that was on the 6th floor of his mansion. And that's where his parents were just chilling around eating some food. Tyler follows and he shows up a little bit after Damien was there because Damien had sprinted down, but Tyler just wanted to walk. So he shows up and Damien is in the middle of a conversation, and all Tyler hears is, Mother, Father, I want to buy planet Earth. Tyler at this point is just laughing to himself dude, there's no way that this is actually his request right now. And the mom, attempting to maintain her composure, explains to Damien, that's impossible. There's no way somebody could buy Earth or roll it like you do in a video game. And now Damien would rarely be told no. This is probably the second or third time in his entire life he's been told straight up no, even though it wasn't even a straight up no, right? She's like, that's not possible. So it's not no because we don't want to give it to you. It's no because there's literally no way that that could happen. But Damien didn't understand that. And mind you, he's a freshman in high school at this point. He's not a little kid anymore, but he still definitely had the mentality of a little kid, and he probably will for the rest of his life, to be honest, the way that he's been treated growing up. But yeah, Damien's face at that point just turned beet red, and he was just staring at his parents with the biggest death stare ever. Tyler says that he looked like he was ready to blow up the house or something. And that's whenever Damien screamed out, "You've always given me everything I wanted. Why can't I have this?" His voice was echoing through the whole mansion. I mean, this dude was screaming, right? There was some serious tension going on between him and his parents. He was like, why can't I have it? I thought that there was nothing that you couldn't afford. I thought we were the richest family in the world. And the mom was just trying to reason with her son. And she was like, Damien, listen, honey, there's limits onto what money can do. Owning the earth just is not possible. It's absurd. You know what's absurd? A freshman in high school thinking that money could buy the planet Earth. That's absurd. But Damien is one of a kind, I guess. And Damien just couldn't comprehend this for some reason. He really didn't understand why he was being told no. And he was just super angry and super frustrated. With all the anger being built up, he finally had an absolute meltdown. Tyler says that he jumped up onto the kitchen island, started stomping all around on it, and broke the marble, cracked it, and that fell on the ground and shattered all over the place. And then he started kicking down all the bar chairs that were sitting around that table, and they were breaking. He opened up one of the cabinets that had all the glasses and just threw them on the ground, started bending spoons and forks out of the silverware drawer. And he was just screaming and yelling the whole entire time. And Tyler the whole entire time was just staring at this situation playing out, and he's like, there's no way I was friends with this guy. Like, what? He was just in absolute disbelief. His parents were just standing there staring, probably contemplating on their parenting decisions his whole entire life. I mean, honestly, the parents deserve this. They raised him awfully. They just gave him literally anything they want. I mean, you know, I get it. They're rich, like super duper, super rich, right? They have a ton of money. Maybe still teach your kid the value of money. You know, that's pretty important. So Damien's tantrum went on for hours. Tyler eventually just left. He was like, screw this. I'm done with Damien. And he decided he wasn't going to be friends with Damien anymore. He didn't straight up tell that to Damien, but Tyler was like, dude, this is ridiculous. I'm leaving. And he seemed pretty mad, and Damien understood that. But Damien was like in his own little world, just in his own little tantrum world. He was super angry. He didn't even acknowledge that Tyler left, right? He just kept going on and on, crying and yelling and screaming about how he couldn't have planet Earth. Now, of course, you know, they had a ton of money, so it wasn't that big of a deal that Damien broke all the stuff. They were able to replace it pretty quickly, but they realized that they did something wrong along the way of raising him. So the parents decided it was time for a change. They started making Damien go to therapy, which at first he threw more tantrums and did not want to go and said, there's no way I'm going there, until eventually they were able to convince him and he went to his first session. Eventually, after a few months, the therapy worked, I guess, because Damien now understood the value of money. And he even went up to Tyler and was like, dude, I'm sorry about all that. You know, I just didn't get it. My parents never explained to me that some things you just can't have. And I really thought I could have everything. And they eventually became, you know, reconnected a bit. I mean, Tyler was still set back a little bit on their friendship because, like, holy crap, all that stuff was so crazy. But they'd slowly become friends again.